From the Unique Toys Palm Collection comes Shunked and Beta, or as we like to think of them, Skullcruncher and Hardhead. So they are smaller versions of the Headmasters that we know and love, and they're pretty neat. At least I think so, but we're gonna go through them so that you can make your own opinion. I'm Captain Kyle. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If you've seen me before, welcome back. I always go through these guys bit by bit to see if they're good for your collection, and that's what we're gonna do now. Be right back. So it's a pretty cool looking box, though it's kind of like, almost looks like CGI animation on the front there. But you can see on the back it has the different modes of the two bots and it shows them together. So they're pretty much in scale. Well, let's pop this box open. Open, damn it, open. And we'll see them inside the plastic prison. And they come with instructions. Hey, no shitty piece of paper. That's a Hasbro thing. But here they are in their plastic. And you can see there's a number of weapons. Taking this out, this is Skullcruncher's little gun. I'm gonna call them by their actual name. Shunked just doesn't roll off the tongue. And Hardhead. Beta's not too bad, but again, preferring Hardhead. Let's zoom in on these guys so you can get a good look at them. And one thing I will say, when you take Shunked or Skullcruncher out, these parts of his feet will be curved up the back. He stands much better if you turn them so that he has kind of a heel. Otherwise, he's bound to fall over pretty easily. So there they are. I'm gonna spin them on the turntable of doom. They are fully armed, and we're gonna go through them one at a time. Maybe we'll start with the animal first, the evil Decepticon. But they're cool. They look like their larger counterparts for the most part. Transformation is a little bit different. We're gonna put Hardhead aside for the moment and take a look at Skullcruncher. So one thing I've noticed, his gun seems to be tinted a little bit purplish, pinkish, probably from proximity to the other pieces, and the handle that goes onto the tail / club, also a little bit tinted, but still overall not a big deal. But we'll put the weapons aside for the moment just to take a look at the bot, and he's pretty cool. Now he kind of has a little bit of an ankle swivel that's built in, so that's kind of nice. He can also do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now he's got this little plate in the back. If you flip that up, you can even push it down like a kickstand if you want to put him in this pose. I don't know how many people display their Transformers in Jean-Claude Van Damme's. Maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme. Listen, you chicken cheat, if you're not putting your bots like these. Okay, we're going a little bit too far here. But yeah, pretty flexible in the legs. He can kick forward, as you can see. He can kick back, but this plate in the back, he kind of got to move it out of the way for it to get up there. He can, of course, do side kicks. He does bend at the knee. In fact, quite a bit bending at the knee. Now, there's a swivel because that's a ball joint. So it's a nice, but it's a ball joint. So not a big surprise there. Now you will notice the back of his legs are kind of hollow. I mean, it's a small figure, and I'm gonna measure him in a second, so that's not a big surprise. He can actually twist at the waist all the way around, so that's nice. You can put him in some dynamic poses. Now his fists are also built into his feet, so they're kind of weird looking. He's got kind of these protrusions on the side, not quite Wolverine claws. Arms can go all the way around. He can bend at the elbow. Because there's a ball joint in there, he can swivel. The fists themselves don't twist, so that's a shame. The head doesn't turn. It's basically a Headmaster, so it does not turn. If you take the Headmaster out, you can transform him. It's just basically flip him open. He does not have articulated arms, but there he is. Is it Crunk? That's his, might as well be Shrunked, or Shrunked, or Shunk. But there's his Headmaster partner. I think Hardhead's is Duros. I could be wrong, and I'm too lazy to look it up. The arms also can move out towards the side, by the way. And there's a little bit of a wiggle, and that's because of the transformation. Now I'm going to put the head back on just for a moment. So as promised, I can measure him. So he is basically 3 3/4 inches tall, same size as a G.I. Joe, or many of the Star Wars action figures as well. But he's a pretty cool looking bot. I mean, not the best looking bot because of the protrusions on his fists, but overall, not bad for the scale. All right, before we go into the beast mode, or alt mode. Let's take a look at Hardhead. So Hardhead is interesting. He's got this gun which you can actually put on either side. So I prefer the traditional right side, but you have an option. He's got the two guns, which are very green. But let's take his accessories off for a moment. I'll leave, usually this is still on, so I'll leave his shoulder cannon. But let's just go through some posability. So the front part of his feet give him a little bit of a ankle swivel, or ball of his feet swivel, so that way you can put him in a wider stance. No big surprise, full Jean-Claude Van Damme. He can kick forward, he can kick back, but the way he's set up, it's not very far forward or back. Good side kick, but forward kind of rubs against his crotch plate and it goes off to the side. So he's almost doing like a outward crescent kick. And backwards could be almost the same thing. He does bend at the knee, does not have any additional accoutrement. Oops, that's part of the transformation. But yeah, both knees bend. Is there a swivel? He does not have a swivel for his legs. So that's a kind of minus on him. Very, very slight swivel, like if that. He can twist at the waist all the way around. And he's got one of those connectors here, so you could actually pop, if you push forward and pop it out, you could pop his entire lower body off, or his upper body off, whichever way you want to look at it. The arms, even with the shoulder cannon in place, go all the way around. Can bend at the elbow. Here, he does have a swivel, so he does swivel in the arms. His arms can go up a little bit, but not a ton, like outward, like that. The head also does not turn, again, because it's a Headmaster. It's a square peg going into a square hole. If it was a round head, then we could get some movement, but nope, it's square. But overall, pretty good posability. Let's give you sight of him from all angles. Like the original Headmasters, you can't pop down a panel and view their stats. That's a shame, but that is life. It is a very small guy, and I believe he is also about 3 3/4 inches tall. Maybe slightly less, but if you measure to the top of his gun, 3 3/4 inches tall. So both neat bots, both good posability, despite the small size. All right, let's get Skullcruncher into his beast mode, and it's actually a pretty clever transformation. So one thing they don't mention with Skullcruncher, or it's very hard to see it if you're not looking for it in the instructions, is on his tail, this actually pulls out. And the reason for that is it plugs in to the inside of his legs so that the tail stays in place. So that is important to know. Now also, you can take his little pilot, put him in kind of a seated position, kind of put his knees forward a bit, trying to get my fingers out of the way. And this opens up, and inside is a space for him to sit, and then you can put the cover over it. So that's all set. There does not appear to be any weapon storage for the gun. I'm not seeing anything that you can plug it into. Maybe on the side of the tail. That's probably the weapon storage, though it kind of takes away from the beauty of his alligator, crocodile, I'm not sure which he is, aesthetic. When he is in this mode though, he is obviously a rampaging beast. The arms can move. Now these feet, you can actually turn them. So you can turn them down like that if you so choose, if you want to put him closer to the ground or give him a little bit of an angle. His jaw also opens and closes, so you can crunch skulls, perhaps. The back legs, they can move somewhat, but they're not really supposed to. They're just kind of there. And that's pretty much it. He's got a little bit of a bend in the body, so you can kind of make him like diving and swimming. But yeah, pretty cool Alligatorcon. So there he is. All right, let's take a look at the vehicle mode for Hardhead. Now this is a much more straightforward transformation. This is clever and twists around. This is pretty standard. You barely need the instructions for it. But what is nice is there are pegs that slide in and keep him from moving out of place. So it's a pretty decent transformation overall. When you transform him into his Cybertronian tank mode, which I assume that's what it is because it's not an Earth tank, it is pretty solid. You can lift up the canopy here and again put your Headmaster companion in a seated position, put it right in and snap. The two guns go on top. The bigger gun goes on the side into one of these slots. And again, you have the option of putting it on either side. So it depends on which side you like. Again, I go with the more traditional right-hand side, but if you're a lefty, that's fine. And there he is in his vehicle mode. pretty neat. Now, there's no wheels on the bottom, so there's no roll test, there's a slide test. But overall, he looks pretty darn cool as a tank and facing off against Skullcruncher. Wahahaha. Now, are these the best Transformers ever? The best third-party Transformers ever? No, but they're kind of neat, and with their scale, you could put them very easily with your Titan City bots, and they would fit right in. Much better than the new ones that came out during Titan's Return and the Walmart exclusives, or the originals, which were even bigger. Now, these run as a set about $33. I'll see if I can find a lesser priced one, but that's pretty much what they're going for, with about $3 shipping, plus applicable state sales tax if you're in the United States or, you know, anywhere that charges sales tax. But I do think it's a neat set, and if you like Headmaster style robots, especially G1, you know, these guys might be for you, especially with how well they scale with Fortress Maximus and Scorponok when they're in their base modes. I am gonna see if there are other Headmasters, and I'll review those if I find them and I'm able to get them, but they're pretty neat, pretty fun. Skullcruncher in his Gator mode is actually a little over 5 1/4 inches long, whereas Hardhead is like 2 7/8 inches long. But still fun bots, a great homage to the original G1s, and great for certain scaling, I think. They're fun. And speaking of fun, I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I enjoy making them and having fun transforming new third parties for you. And while you're mulling these guys over, you can actually check out this video over here, which is another alligator con, but it's actually an Optimus Prime style, which fits in very well with the City of Steel. I think that's the name of the episode, where he gets dismembered and part of him becomes an alligator con. And we will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.